The expectation that a person can remain physically, sexually monogamous for 60 or 70 years seems kind of unreal. Hi, this is Mike Balaban. Welcome to another episode of BAMMER Talks. Today I'd like to focus on the matter of monogamy versus non-monogamy in LGBTQ relationships. And if we have time, perhaps a little aside about three-way sexual encounters. You know, historically, marriage began 1,000 or whatever years ago, back in the medieval ages, when people lived to 30 or 35 or 40. They met and got married in their teens in order to take care of the wife and raise the kids and protect them and feed them and keep a roof over their heads. And they had marriages that lasted 15 years, maybe 20 at most. There was never any expectation that people were going to live like they do today to be 80 or 90 years old, and that there might be relationships that would last 50, 60, and even 70 years. The expectation that a person can remain physically, sexually monogamous for 60 or 70 years seems kind of unreal, but that's what's expected in marriage. And that's what happens, by and large, at least as far as the world is concerned, in heterosexual marriage. But in terms of gay partnerships, we have historically been outsiders, outcasts, and we've made our own way of living. And knowing that we didn't have the benefits of marriage and parenthood, we were able to think about what worked for us as two men living together and cohabitating. And in so doing, it has worked out over time that non-monogamous relationships in the gay world are far more common than monogamous ones. I mean, look, all the power to you if you have a long-term relationship and you're faithful to each other and you're satisfied. But for most of us, urges happen, opportunities occur, and we're sometimes in a weak moment, we give in. It's not planned, but, physical affection happens. So what should you do if you and your partner decide you want to think about opening your relationship and allowing some kind of extramarital activity? There are a number of things to think about. Make sure that you trust each other, that you believe you're each honest and willing to be open and share accurately what's taking place. It's the trust that will tide you through the tough times. And once you have agreed on that, you will want to set up a system of rules to abide by that you'll each agree to follow in enacting this open relationship. I should also tell you that those rules will inevitably be broken at some time or another. The kinds of rules you might set up would be anything from, we'll only do it in a three-way with a third person along with the two of us. Or we'll give each other some space to have sex outside of our relationship, but you can only have it one time with the same person. Or only when you're out of town. Or only with people that we don't both know. Or definitely only not in our home and in our marital bed. Those are the kind of rules that will guide you and will hopefully make it work. When and if one of those rules gets broken in the heat of passion unintentionally by one of you, then you have to rely upon that wellspring of trust and goodwill that has been built up over time and the honesty that you've exercised with each other to come back to the other partner and admit that you broke the rule and discuss what happened and talk about it in a level-headed fashion and hopefully reestablish the trust that will keep you going. That's how a three-way relationship can best work. In my situation, I never wanted an open relationship. I didn't have one for my first 50-odd years. And then in my last 12-year relationship, halfway through it, we began to experience some incompatibility sexually, largely because my partner developed tastes and proclivities that he had never shown before and which weren't really of interest or excitement to me. I loved him and I wanted him to be happy and fulfilled in those activities, but I really couldn't be a part of them. So what we did was set up our open relationship so he could go out for an hour or two and, kind of enact his sexual fantasies with a stranger. And I often met the partners before he went with them and approved of them. And we kept each other informed about what we were doing with the other person throughout the entire three-way relationship. Not everybody is so oriented or able and willing to be so open, but we weren't very jealous and we trusted each other. And that was a way of kind of keeping each of us included. In the end, we lasted 7 more years. We did not abuse that privilege. Maybe we had sex 2 or 3 or 4 times a year each outside of the relationship. And in the end, what separated us was not the sexual relationships outside of the couple. It was the very basic differences between us that had been there from the beginning and which we'd struggled to overcome for 12 years and eventually decided we weren't able to do so. In terms of a three-way sexual encounter, sometimes you, the couple, will invite a third person in. Other times, you, as a single person, may get invited to have sex with a couple. If either of those happens, you have to be very careful to make sure there's a balance of attention being paid to all parties in the encounter. If you're the third person, the single guy, make sure that you go to the guy that you find less attractive, and there's usually one in every couple, and pay a lot of attention to him, so that he will feel included and not ignored, and that will make it go more smoothly. If you're in the couple, you may find the third person doing that, paying more attention to one of you. You should have an agreement beforehand that the partner who's getting more of the attention will gently guide the third person to pay equal attention to both of you. Those are my tips for an effective and successful open relationship if you should decide to maintain one. Thank you for listening. Please follow this page and stay tuned for additional episodes. My name is Mike Balaban. This has been a BAMMER Talk. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. There's lots of content coming that you won't want to miss. Please also like and comment if you have topics you'd like for us to discuss. Thanks a lot. See you next time with much love and gratitude. Goodbye.